Christopher So goes through the early morning drill like any other school-going children his age. This primary 3 boy attends a neighborhood school within walking distance of his home. The one difference between him and most other kids is his mother attends school with him. Christopher is no average child. He is a whiz kid. This 8-year-old with an IQ of at least 135 is a member of Mensa Singapore. Most adults have an average IQ of 100. How do you find school?
I find it a bit boring, as I already know what's the topic about.
So what do you do?
Just sit there and just listen, just get through the class.
Mensa Singapore has over 800 members, and 50 to 70 of them are high IQ kids like Christopher. It's perhaps the secret wish of many parents to have such a whiz kid. But does having one necessarily mean an easier time for the parents?
Enjoy yourself. Thank you.
Take Christopher out of the classroom setting and another side of him emerges.
Morning, teacher. Morning, teacher. Hi, Sister.
For the past 4 years, this maths whiz has been taking enrichment classes at a private school. Here, he gets to exercise his potential to the fullest. And his teachers say the 8-year-old can tackle quadratic equations and factorization, something most kids learn only in the upper secondary level.
When he entered P1, I approached the principal and I showed her some of the things that Christopher can do at that moment. And she was very approachable. She said that, okay, we can try him out at P3 for English and P4 for his maths. 1 month later, the MOE came back to her and says, no, you can't do that. He's a P1 boy, he stays in P1. And he has to be with his P1 peers, which is very boring for him.
Christopher does not attend math or English. So what does he do during these periods?
These periods I will go in to teach him on my own, and if possible I take him to the library where he can explore more.
We couldn't film in Christopher's school, neither did his principal agree to an interview. But a check with the Education Ministry showed that there are currently 4 students who have been allowed to skip grades. 3 of them are from the primary level. In Christopher's case, MOE says it wants him to remain in his present grade so that he can socialize with his peers. It's also working with the school to explore ways to stretch him academically. So, Adelina quit her full-time job in order to nurture Christopher.
Okay.
A lot of people don't know that he's gifted, especially my relatives back home. But those people that know, they tend to put it, wow, very lucky, your child is, a genius, so you must be smooth sailing for your child. But in fact, it's not. And also people tend to expect him to be 100% number 1.
Realistically, not all children who are very bright would necessarily score 100% all the time. So if you have unrealistic expectations of a child, the child might buckle through the pressure. I think sometimes we've heard the phrase, the higher you climb, the greater you fall. Some parents a bit nasty, they might laugh at this particular child and say, you see, IQ so high but still not doing so well in school.
Not bad, that's a good throw.
Expectations aside, there is the general perception that high IQ children have low EQ or social skills. Some call it nature's way of equalizing the odds.
Almost.
As he is the only child, Christopher's mother devotes all her time to honing his social skills. When he was in kindergarten, his report card reflected B's for interpersonal skills.
I stress that he has to have social ability, which is very important when you grow up. If you can't get along with your peers, who else can you get along with?
Tell me about your friends. What do they think of you? Do they think you're different?
They think I am different, because I can see they want to know whether I'm first or second or third.
Well, just how different is Christopher from your regular 8-year-old?
Ask me something now that you think I cannot answer.
Square root of 18.
Huh?
Square root of 18.
Is that a square root of 18? Don't bluff me. What is it?
3 square root 2.
Okay, whatever. Pass me the calculator, please. I'm gonna make you look bad. I'm gonna make you look real bad. Okay, let's have this little game, okay? We'll do multiplication tables, okay? You ready? 21 times 63.
1, 3, 2, 3.
1, 3, 2, 3. Well done. 76 times 65.
4940.
After the break,
You're a Mensa member, right?
Yeah.
So how come you're one and your sister and your brother are not?
I don't know. My name is Chai Claire E. I am 6 years old. I study in Rosyth School. I am a very clever girl.
clever is probably a modest way to describe Claire Chai.
How do you get this answer? And then this one is 6. So what do you call this? Hard, right?
This primary 1 student has an IQ of 139 and is one of Mensa Singapore's youngest members. But until this filming session, neither her school nor her teachers knew this.
If let's say we let the teacher know about it, she can either hold the two views and that, well, I'm going to throw you into the pool and then see how you swim, or I'm going to pay a lot of attention to you because there's a likelihood that you will be groomed much better than the rest.
Why do you not want that?
You have to ponder about her social interactions, yeah, with classmates. You know, you need to be in harmony with your classmates if you are going to lead them in future.
Well, the one thing Claire can do that most of her classmates can't.
Watashi wa Claire desu. Watashi wa nanasai.
And that's not all. She can speak French too.
J'aime le chocolat. That means I like chocolate.
Thanks to a string of enrichment classes that Betty sends this precocious girl to. Apart from language classes, Claire also attends Chinese chess, swimming and gymnastics. And there are big dreams for this young girl.
Okay, what do you want to be when you grow up?
I want to be an ambassador.
An ambassador. How do you spell ambassador?
Don't know.
Okay, why do you want to be an ambassador? It's a big word.
Because people respect.
What are your expectations of Claire down the road?
If she gets onto GEP program, that would be good for her. But if she can go on to get the President's Scholarship or whatever scholarship that may help her to defray the cost of university education.
She has strong responsibility on her tiny shoulders.
But how does such high hopes for Claire affect her siblings? She has an older sister, Kate, and 2 younger brothers.
Does Claire get more attention than the other children?
No, not exactly. Yeah, but then she's one whom I can talk with on certain subjects. I always tell my eldest daughter, say, Mensa is just a group, you know, we have a membership in it, we just have one person to represent us and we get to enjoy the activities.
Well, I had to find out for myself just how opinionated and outspoken this young lady is.
Okay, what's your favorite thing to do in school?
My favorite thing is to play catching.
Who do you play catching with?
My friends best friend.
You have a best friend?
Yes.
Girl or boy?
Girl.
Why is she your best friend?
Because she is the class monitress and then I like to be friends with her.
Because she's the class monitress,
Yes.
Quite clever, are you? Does she does she give you any special favors? Is she especially nice to you?
Yes.
Really? Do you want to be a class monitor?
Yes.
Very violent reaction. Why? Do you want to be a class monitor?
No. I don't want to be a class monitor, so I'm not a boy.
Oh, okay. There's no monitress. What? Got monitress, man? Okay, so you want to be a class
Monitress is girl.
I see. Oops, pardon my lousy English,
Intellectually, young wonders like Claire and Christopher may thrive better in a more advanced learning environment.
That is only a rotten leaf.
But that may not be all that matters.
Got one frog come out. Hey, see? Hey, someone threw the brick inside. Maybe one fish is stuck inside. Let's go to the bridge over there.
If you put, let's say, somebody who's destined for P1 into a P4 or P3 class, I think the pressure on that child is going to be a little bit great. And the P3 kids in that class would probably expect a lot more, and probably resent him being in the class as well, because they're all P3 and, they're of a certain age, and suddenly you've got this baby who's there. I think not so good for social development.
After the break, expectations to shoulder, stereotypes to defy. Does it get better as they get older? Late nights like these are par for the course for 14-year-old Ruth ever since she was streamed into the Gifted Education Program, or the GEP, 4 years ago. About 1% of each cohort of the student population in Singapore make it into this stream. Some might say the prestige more than make up for the extra workload. And when Anne, Ruth's younger sister, also made it into the GEP last year, it was more than a happy moment for the family.
What were your reactions when you found out that your second daughter also made it to GEP?
Actually, it was a real relief. Finally, I could talk normally about everything because we were trying to play it down.
But Jeepers, as GEP students are known, came in for some flack recently. They were criticized for lacking social skills and for being in a world of their own.
I think it shows how important being humble is and how he's humble to his children.
Your daughters must have brought their friends, their Jeeper friends home. What sort of behavior have you noticed amongst them?
There are certainly instances where I can't tell whether it's because they are too shy or whether they're too proud, right? But they come in, and one of the rules that we have in our house is that we expect a certain level of respect, certain level of decorum, right? So you come in, you call uncle, auntie, which is our sort of Chinese tradition, right? You call uncle, auntie. And some don't. There was one particularly blatant example when Ruth was much younger. They had some project work here, and a boy came in and he sort of took off his shoes right at the door there and just walked in without saying anything. I got so frustrated with him, I said, turn around, get out. Come in again. He came in again, he still didn't greet me.
Okay, this young lady here is going to show me her hobby. What is it?
I'm very interested in snails.
And why are you interested in snails?
You know, in primary 3 when you're younger, you always like to have disgusting hobbies that will freak people out just for the sake of having the glory of it. So I took up having snails.
Some people may think that this is actually a weird hobby. Do you think so?
Jeeper kids are weird.
Really? Why?
Because most of us, when we are intellectually inclined, our emotional growth is so stunted. At least stunted compared to the emotional growth.
At her school, GEP classrooms are located together and away from the other classrooms. So Ruth says Jeepers stick together because not only have they grown up together, but also because of physical proximity.
Is it tough being a GP? Do you think people just don't understand?
They don't understand us, we don't understand them. There is jokes about you're in GP, you're so smart. Don't come and Jeeper talk me.
Would you date someone who is not a Jeeper?
I plan to date someone that's not a Jeeper.
Why?
Jeeper boys are very irritating. And yet again, the best and the worst. The most coy, most angelic are Jeeper boys. And the most, most arrogant, most snobbish, most irritating boys are Jeepers.
So you want someone more
Average.
ordinary, more average?
Yeah.
But first, there's a divide between the two groups to overcome.
So what do you think of the gifted boys?
They mingle around with their own group alone, and that it's maybe it's partly our fault, as in for express students, because we see ourselves, like some of us, we feel inferior.
Sometimes they have this kind of fake accent, yeah, but once you get to know them,
What's a fake accent?
I don't know, as in they speak in a really different way, yeah, and they kind of use bombastic words sometimes.
After school, all they do is study. Yeah, when they go out together, they study. They talk about school, they talk about teachers, they talk about schoolwork, homework, how to finish this, how to finish that, while us express people, we talk about cooler stuff. Perhaps they lack the social skills to mix with the other people.
So do you think there are geeks, nerds?
On the whole, yes.
So on the not so whole?
Still yes.
Well, bridging these two groups with their opposing views of each other is clearly quite a challenge. And is it just as challenging to face Jeepers on a daily basis? I turn to teacher to get some answers.
There are only 3 secondary schools in Singapore that offer the gifted education program, and this is one of them. I'm at Nanyang Girls High School. Today I'll be teaching English to a class of secondary 4 GEP girls.
Class, this is Miss Sir. She would like to be addressed as Diana.
Good morning, Good morning, class. Thank you.
I was all prepared to teach a lesson on TV production, but it seems the girls needed very little hand-holding.
Dealing with a math medium. Conceptualization. Editing. Editing? You all went to media school, Have you heard of the news cycle? Finally, something that maybe I know that you don't. I had to do my homework. I had to make sure I knew at least what I was talking about. So there was a bit of pressure, so I can only imagine teachers of Jeepers, they must feel a lot more pressure because they're facing them every day. Why do you think he says that?
The lesson somehow moved towards the debate that raged in the newspapers about Jeepers being elitist, and the girls had lots to say.
Was he the one who called us lepers?
She covered the issue more fairly in a way.
What makes it newsworthy? I think what impressed me most about the girls is how ready and how quick they were to form their own opinions.
Do you see it as like a way of sending out your own personal feelings?
Whether it was a quote taken out of context.
Also, because he's an editor, he has a duty to the public.
All of the girls are so well-spoken. I can only imagine that if they were to mix with mainstream students, let's say from other schools, they might feel intimidated.
I think some journalist people.
Probably a lot of the responsibility lies in the system, in how to integrate them better.
Another editor, you pick up the top 1% of the whole student population, and you put them in a class and you call them gifted. Naturally, the rest of 99%, there'll be some people who are going to think, who are you to call these people gifted? What makes them different?
When we speak in class, we speak really fluent English, so it comes out sounding that we're trying to sound intelligent or older than we are.
I had an online friend who accused me of being a smart aleck when I pointed out to her that 1984 wasn't a Victoria classic.
Meanwhile, the GEP boys I met in ACS Independent seemed a lot more regular. With them, I decided to spring a little surprise.
Okay, have you been told about the quiz that you're going to be taking today?
No, actually, it's a pop quiz. The initial shock of meeting someone from China. That's a good name, right?
What does APEC stand for?
Asia Pacific Economic Conference.
It's cooperation.
Quite close,
Who is Wen Jiabao?
That's a question we like to ask you. Who is Wen Jiabao?
Who is this Wen Jiabao?
He's the Chinese premier. We didn't get Wen Jiabao right as well, huh? The guys fared well below my expectations. I was very worried, like I said, about talking to them because I thought they'd all be news junkies, you know. Who is Manmohan Singh?
That's a good question. India.
Yes, but who is he in India?
Prime Minister. Prime Minister. It is Prime Minister.
I had to double check. Prime Minister of India, well done, well done. Who is Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono? They're quite relaxed about it all. They don't make a big deal out of the fact that they were in the GEP. They don't make a big deal out of the fact that they are supposed to be smarter than the rest.
The mainstream people, they look at us, they think we're nerdy and stuff like that. They just don't like us. So we have no choice but to stick with each other.
I was dumped by my friends in primary 3 when I got into the GEP. The day after the results was like my birthday, then they came and they threw like my present at me and then like walked off. It's nice of you. I think our achievements get downplayed because they think that we are supposed to do well because we're supposedly top 1% in like Singapore. So we should be winning everything we get into.
So what happens when you don't win it all?
Then they just look down on you even more because you can't live up to the expectations that you're supposed to be able to do.
Would you date someone who's not from GEP?
Why not?
Why not? Yeah, why not?
There's no logic in I'm a cheaper, I must date GEP people. It's like saying like I'm a male, I must date male.
Don't go there. I just think inter-GEP relationships are doomed to failure anyway. Yeah.
It's called eugenics.
You sound like you tried. Tell me more.
This is getting ahead. I'm not going to say anything.
Expectations to shoulder, dreams to fulfill, stereotypes to defy. These seem to define the life of a whiz kid, which, come to think of it, isn't all that different from the lot faced by their more average peers. Send your feedback and suggestions to getrail@channelnewsasia.com.